Assalamu alaikum everyone, my name is Marium and I'm from the Noor al-Asr team. Alhamdulillah, I'm so blessed to be part of this beautiful Islamic bedtime stories initiative, which is raising money for the Noor Orphans Fund. So I hope you've been enjoying the stories so far and will enjoy today also. Today's story is super special. It is a brand new book launch. And it's called Mahdi's Search for the Miraculous Verse, and it's by I Read My Story. Now this is super special because it's about my son, Mahdi. But do you know what? If you really enjoy it, you can have this book under your name. So if your name was Ali, you could have it as Ali's Search for the Miraculous Verse. If your name was Zainab, you could have Zainab's Search for the Miraculous Verse. So you could have a personalized copy too. So let's get started. So Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Every night, Mahdi would fall asleep as soon as he got into bed. But tonight, his eyes just wouldn't close. Hundreds of thoughts were dancing through his head. How could he make them stop? How could he get some rest? Mahdi closed his eyes ever so tight and really tried his best. Mahdi then recalled the verses he saw on the mosque's wall. He had tried to memorize them by heart and read them all. He remembered the verses of Ayat al-Kursi. Once you recite them, you will gain Allah's mercy. As he whispers the first few verses on his lips, to the land of dreams, Mahdi slowly slips. Allahu la ilaha illa huwal hayyul qayyum, la ta'khudhuhu sinatan wa la nawm. Mahdi dreamt of gliding in the air as high as a bird. High in the sky, through the clouds, he submerged. At the tip of the clouds, Mahdi looked down to the earth. It seemed so small, so fragile, and so tiny. Surrounded by giant planets, some yellow, some red, and others so beautiful and shiny. They all rotated in a systemized wave. Mahdi looked around in a total amaze. Who is the master of these planets? Who keeps them revolving at the perfect rate? This must be the Almighty Allah. Mahdi comprehended the Almighty Creator, the one who should be praised as he was so great. له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه. As Mahdi drifted through the clouds and deeper into his dreams, he found himself walking through a garden filled with endless streams. Rivers were clear as honey, milk flowing from both sides. Peaceful birds chirped on tree trunks, steady like the summer tides. All the fruits Mahdi could imagine were ready to be picked. As soon as he took one, it majestically replenished with one he could not predict. Mahdi gazed at a cocoon hanging by one of the leaves. He wondered about this butterfly and what its colors would be. Soon the cocoon started to move. It whirled and cracks began to appear. The butterfly with its majestic wings gradually became clear. Mahdi only imagined what the colors could be and then recalled a verse in glee. Except for Allah, the all-knowing of what is now, what had happened and what is to come. He who knows all, but his knowledge is not known to anyone. يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء. Onward Mahdi went, walking through the garden, but for what would come next he could not prepare. There in the distance Mahdi heard a faint voice call out. The voice sounded sad and in despair. Mahdi looked to his left and to his right. He looked up and then looked down. A tiny ant came into sight, sitting on a leaf with a magnificent crown. "Did you call out to me?" Mahdi asked with surprise to the little ant queen. "Yes," she said. "Look where you walk. We live down here, close to the ravine. Even though we are tiny and blend into the green, we are looked after by Allah, the All-Seen. Indeed, Allah is our best friend, the one who embraces the heavens and earth." Mahdi knew this was true. It is He that looks after all of us and has been since our birth. وَسِعَ كُرْسِيُّهُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَلَا يَعُوضُهُ حِفْظُهُمَا وَهُوَ الْعَلِيُّ الْعَظِيمُ. The ant asked Mahdi with a strange look on her face, "What is it that you are seeking in this beautiful place?" Mahdi replied, "I am in search of the verses of Ayat al-Kursi, but stopped to talk to you instead." The ant responded, "Well then, follow the river, it'll be just ahead." With a smile on his face, Mahdi thanked the little ant and continued on his way. As he walked along the river with beautiful fishes, the sun stood high and Mahdi remembered to pray. Mahdi removed his shoes and socks so he could perform his wudu. He didn't want to delay his talk with Allah since the time was due. Mahdi did this every day. Through opening his heart to Allah, he took great rejoice. Mahdi prayed he would always continue his conversations with Allah, as this was his choice. لا إكراه في الدين قد تبين الرشد من الغي. After his prayers, Mahdi got up quickly to continue his journey. He had almost gathered all the verses with Allah's mercy. Soon the clouds settled in and the sky became darker, but Mahdi wasn't scared and did not worry at all. He had his best friend, his companion, his protector through it all. It became very dark all too soon and Mahdi could not see the road ahead. He held his eyes open wide, but all was dark, so Mahdi decided to close his eyes instead. Mahdi's eyes were tightly closed and he could feel his feet being guided somehow. It felt as if he was floating on a cloud to a familiar place, but how? Mahdi knew he had to keep his faith in Allah throughout, and soon he would find the way out, without a doubt. فَمَنْ يَكْفُرْ بِالطَّاغُوتِ وَيُؤْمِنْ بِاللَّهِ فَقَدِ اسْتَمْسَكَ بِالْعُرْوَةِ الْوُثْقَى لَا انفِصَامَ لَهَا وَاللَّهُ سَمِيعٌ عَلِيمٌ. Mahdi felt the ground moving beneath his feet. With his eyes still closed, it was like he was wrapped by a silky sheet. Mahdi quickly opened his eyes to see where he was standing, and there on a mountain top he found himself landing. The clouds appeared as words he could not recall. Mahdi tried to read them to make sense of it all. Soon they came together and turned into one sentence. Mahdi read it out loud with total acceptance. Mahdi was guided from the darkness into the light by the one who always had supported him with his might. الله ولي الذين آمنوا يخرجهم من الظلمات إلى النور. With this, Mahdi had gathered almost all of the verses he came to find. He felt a sigh of relief when he heard a familiar sound from behind. He turned his head gently around. What Mahdi felt was highly profound. He opened his eyes, and on his bed he lay wide awake. Was this really all but a dream? But to Mahdi it didn't feel fake. His mother was beckoning him for the Fajr prayers. Mahdi got up and prepared for the morning prayers. After his prayers, Mahdi remembered all the verses he had seen, But where did he go? He asked himself. Where had he been? Mahdi pondered as he took out the Quran al-Kareem. Was it just simply a dream? As Mahdi opened the Holy Quran to recite some of the holy words, the breeze blew open pages to Surah Al-Baqarah. Mahdi's tears streamed down his cheeks, and he felt so light as he read what was left from Ayat al-Kursi with thorough delight. He had now found all of the beautiful verses he wanted to seek. The verses were now engraved. His heart wanted to speak. Allah is surely my friend, my companion, and the most loved one. Now Mahdi said it out aloud. Allah, I love you more than anyone. وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا أَوْلِيَاؤُهُمُ الطَّاغُوتُ يُخْرِجُونَهُم مِّنَ النُّورِ إِلَى الظُّلُمَاتِ أُولَئِكَ أَصْحَابُ النَّارِ هُمْ فِيهَا خَالِدُونَ. Mahdi had now memorized all of Ayat al-Kursi and recited it every day, before leaving his house, during the day, and before sleep without delay. These verses were now his most incredible help throughout. These verses he surely could not live without. It brought him nearer to Allah, who was now Mahdi's closest friend. He could rely on him, Allah the Eternal. On him Mahdi could always depend. And that is the end of the story. I really hope you have enjoyed it. I have absolutely loved reading it, and I think it's an absolutely fantastic storybook we should all have. So, as I mentioned earlier, you can also have a personalized book from www.ireadmystory.com. There is a 20% discount with the code NuralAsr20. So if you order before the 10th of May, then you can have a discounted copy of this personalized book. There is also an opportunity for you to win a personalized copy of the Search for the Miraculous Verse by ireadmystory.com. I will put the information on the next slide and in the comments. But the challenge is to play the Quran Express Challenge on salamoji.com, to send a screenshot of your winning result and send us it via Instagram or Facebook or WhatsApp. You can always send us an email. Again, I'll put all the details below, and you will have a chance to win a personalized copy of ireadmystory.com. So get playing, enjoy, and also don't forget to send us the results so we can enter your name. And finally, please donate generously to the Noor Orphans Fund. The link is in the comments below. We have raised a phenomenal amount, but we would also love to be able to help more families in need in Iraq and Yemen. So please do help where possible. Thank you so much for listening. Inshallah, we will see you tomorrow for your next Islamic bedtime story.